Welcome to the Gamers Inn. Come on in, pull up a chair next to the fire. It looks like you've had a long journey. I'm your host, Jocelyn, and joining me as always is my co-host, Ryan. Hello, Ryan.
Bonjour.
Oh, why are you all French?
Oh, uh, that's all I learned today. I was in French class today. That's all I remember.
Why are you taking French class?
Oh, because they told me how to say this. How do you say
Because
money in
reasons?
French? How do you say
Argent?
money? Argent, oui, l'argent. No,
Because money?
because money. Now, like being bilingual really helps in this great country of Canada. Let us remind everybody, all our new listeners, that we're Canadian, and at any point we are going to switch from English to French, just like our national anthem.
Completely
That's
randomly.
yeah,
So you're doing like courses through work or?
yeah. I don't
Oh.
know. Like I didn't honestly didn't. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to talk about this, but yeah, we're gonna be doing French classes at work, and I'm trying to integrate gaming into learning French as best as possible. We've talked about this in the past. I talked about this with Val, one of our first fans of the show, who is French,
Mm-hmm.
fully
From
bilingual,
Quebec?
awesome person.
Or
Yeah,
sorry, Quebec?
Quebec. They eat how do you say the poutine?
Poutine.
Putain? That's not right.
Yes, it
Now,
is.
now we've pissed off our English listeners and our French listeners. But I had said like it'd be a really good way to learn French or any language rather is to immerse yourself in that language. And since I can't afford to live in merry old Paris for a good 6 months,
Oh, you're missing out.
I know I
Well,
heard
it's
it's
different French anyway. Quebec French is not the same as Paris French.
yeah, no, that's true. My French teacher was telling me that. But a good way to immerse might be to, take a game that you loved and have already beaten and kind of know like all the story beats and stuff and just switch the audio dialogue to French. I was actually going to
Ooh.
replay the Mass Effect series
That's
completely in French.
actually a really good idea and something that I might do. Except for the only problem I can see with that is that any kind of video game that is in a sci fi or fantasy type realm is
Yeah.
like at some points you're probably not going to be able to tell if they're speaking French or if it's like some kind of planet name or a new race or something.
That's true. They'd be like,
For instance, well, I mean, like Wildstar, the Orin, that race sounds a whole lot like it could be French.
yeah,
Loren.
Lauren? Oh, Lauren.
Loren. And then you think it means like grass or something. You're just like,
Why does that person keep referring to us as grass? I don't get it. Just
exactly.
don't worry about it, man. It's fine.
It's French.
It's all good. No, I never thought about that. That's a good point. Maybe I should pick like a game that's like boring.
Something that
Or
doesn't make anything up. Wait a
like
minute.
maybe like no, like maybe like a game that's more like story based, like maybe like Gone Home. It's not boring was the wrong word, but just a game where it's like set in the real world
Yeah,
and it's
somewhat reality based.
yeah. Which looking at the list, if we're gonna use this as a transition, I just want to make sure. Yeah, there's really nothing in here that's
No.
reality based that we talked about.
Not even a little. I
No.
prefer my games a little bit out there because I don't like to be immersed in reality any more than I have to be.
Live in reality all day. I mean, who wants to keep doing that after 10 or 16 hours? Come on.
Speaking of being immersed in reality, so I was so not immersed in reality the other day because I was on the bus and
Hmm.
I was sitting there being a good girl, minding my own business. I had my earphones in, I was listening to the instance, and I was playing threes. Entirely missed my bus stop. The bus got to the end of the line and she pulled over to the last bus stop and then actually pulled the bus like off to the side and had to come and tap me on the shoulder and tell me to get off the bus because I literally had my phone like this in front of my face playing
Uh-huh.
threes and the earphones in with, like Scott Dills and Terpster going at my ears. And I was just like, threes, 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 this is amazing. And then she's like, you have to get off now.
Yeah.
I was like,
But
oh, crap. And then I totally missed my connection to work. I was late, and it's all Ben's fault from A Move
so,
Radio because he started me on
oh, I
threes.
see. So, is this like let me put it into context so everybody understands. This is like, and I feel I can do this for any scenario, but this is like that episode of The Simpsons where Lisa gets on the bus and then she gets off at the wrong stop, and then Homer has to uh, uh, convene or steal like a cherry picker. Is it kind of like that? Is that
Kinda.
exactly what happened? Joel
Except
had to
for
get a cherry picker,
yeah,
and his head
very,
got stuck
very
in the
close.
fridge. Kind of like that.
It was
No,
actually
okay.
kind of terrifying because where the bus pulls over, there's like 3 lanes at the terminal that other buses go down in
Uh,
between, like you and the platform. When you're on the bus you're not supposed to be on anymore. So I had to cross like 3 lanes of bus traffic, and the whole time I was like, I'm gonna die all because of this stupid video game.
man, that's like my worst fear, and I have a lot of worst fears.
I am
Um,
usually so aware of my surroundings.
mhm,
It's crazy. I just
interesting.
like I usually don't have earphones in, or if I do, I turn the volume down. I'm always looking around. I just not that I'm constantly afraid to be outside and around strangers, but I definitely have a general awareness that, some people may not. So I try to keep that level of awareness. So for me, it was like, I'm always afraid almost of being embarrassed. Like, that's my biggest fear. It's not that I'm afraid I'm going to get, like, raped and murdered. I'm afraid that I'm going to be extremely embarrassed.
Yeah, it's Halifax, not Detroit. I mean, let's be honest.
Exactly. And especially, we Canadians tend to fall in line. So when
Not a
something
lot of
like
yeah.
this
Okay.
happens, it's like, oh my god, I didn't follow the rules. My life is over. Canada's going to kick me out.
Well, you missed your bus stop. You didn't like murder somebody.
No, I know, but that's the extent to which my, like, social norms and embarrassment, that's how far it goes, is like my social anxieties, I guess you can call it, is I'm so afraid of, like, breaking the rules or breaking the social norms that, like, when I forgot to get off the bus, it was like the end of the world for the day.
So did she think you were like one of those people that just rides a bus? Like there are
Yeah.
people that exist like that. They just ride the bus all day. They get like a pass and that's their thing. There's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with that. But I'm just asking, like, is that
I
what you
don't I
thought?
don't really know what she thought. I think cuz like I must have looked like I thought she was going to, like, shoot me in the face or something. Like, I must have been like,
What did I do?
what
Did
have
I
I
get on the
done?
bus? Is this kindergarten again? Oh my god.
And then I was just like, oh my god, I am so, 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 so sorry. I wasn't paying attention. I never do this, I swear.
Of course you apologize. I mean, as if we had to remind them that this is a Canadian podcast. Like the
Yeah.
first words that come out of your mouth when you didn't do anything wrong. Oh, I'm so sorry.
I did something very wrong. I stayed on the bus past the last stop, Ryan.
Oh, you're allowed to do. Well, okay.
I
Wait.
don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, see? See?
Now that I don't know, I've never stayed past last stop. Like, I mean, I would assume
Because
buses would just.
normal people don't do that.
Why didn't they let you out of the terminal?
Well, they
Where were
pulled
you
up
at?
to the terminal,
Oh,
and
well, then
then
you're fine. I mean, you can
no,
get
no,
off the
they.
terminal.
Well, yeah, they pulled up to the terminal. That's the stop I missed. The terminal spot I missed.
Oh.
You're right.
Oh, okay. So they took you to like the garage, but they're full of
Yes.
buses. Good thing she didn't have a knife in her hand. You would have thought she was trying to murder you. As Jaden in the chat room saying, it's alarming if it's woodsy. Did you see your surroundings? You're lucky. You're still in the
Yes,
city.
it was bushy, not woodsy. The foliage did not go above my waist, so we're good.
Yeah. So it was still you could still like see over top. It's like okay, as we're still in civilization, perfect. But what about this game? This magical game that took your attention away? Threes. I've been hearing things about it. This is the first life-threatening story I've heard about it. So,
And to be fair, it wasn't actually like life-threatening, life-threatening. It was just alarming, a little out of the norm.
okay.
So basically what threes is you start off with a board that's like 4 squares wide by 4 squares tall. And there are randomly placed 1s, 2s, and 3s. And what you have to do is slide the board around to combine the 1s and 2s to make 3s, and then the 3s to make 6s, and the 6s with the other 6s to make 12s. And you try to make the biggest numbers that you possibly can. And I'm still not necessarily struggling, but it still catches me pretty often because you move the whole board left or right or up or down, so it's not just like if I've got a blank space and then a 3 that I want to put next to another 3, if I move that line, like the whole board moves that way. So it's a little bit to kind of get used to. And then every time you move the board, it gives you more like 1s and 2s and 3s. And then as you progress and as you go on longer and longer and longer, you'll get bigger numbers. So sometimes you'll get 6s and 12s and 24s and so on.
Hmm.
And the whole point of the game is that Once you have no more moves, then you get a total score. But it is the most addicting game I have ever played on iOS. Like,
Really?
I finish one and I'm like, restart. And I finish another one, and I'm like, restart, like over and over and over and over and over again. When she first tapped me on the shoulder, I was pissed off because she interrupted my game.
You almost like hit her like, get away from me, crazy bus lady. I'm
Do you
trying
not
to
know I'm
threes."
playing threes?
So, Play Goo in the chat room asked an interesting question. Is she explaining 2048? And this is sort of the story. Have you heard the story about like 2048 being a copycat of threes?
Yeah, so basically, from what I can understand, is that threes came out, became insanely popular, and then other kind of copycat, same idea as Flappy Bird.
Right.
Flappy Bird came out, and then there was like Birds That Flap and Bird versus Pipe, and all these other kind of rip-offs of the same idea. So yes,
They said
they're
that,
all
like 50 versions of Flappy Bird a day, and they just have to keep taking them. I mean, what's the point in having a moderated system if you're going to let games get through only to take them off the store?
exactly. So yeah, 2048 is exactly the same idea, except for I think it's 2 4s, like 2, 4, 8, 16 instead of 3, 6, 12, 24 on and on and on. So
Oh, this looks cool. I
did
was
you
just
just
looking at it.
Oh.
So it's a $1.99 universal app. That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
And you're
Totally
saying
worth it.
it's totally worth it.
Well, the thing is,
Oh, it's a third. It's a third off.
I was gonna say I thought I paid $2.99 for it.
Yeah, it says 33.3333333% off for a limited time.
Yeah, so there
Get
you go.
on that, fellas.
So
And
you should
you
pick
know,
it up because I mean, this is kind of what I'm starting to come around to with iOS games is that I'm willing to pay the extra $2, $3, even like 4 or 5 if I then don't have anything behind a paywall. There's no microtransactions, there's no ads, there's no none of that. Like all of it is just strictly like you pay the price and here's your game. Threes is a very, very simple game. There's not much to it. There's like the one game mode that's just like, do you want to play threes? Play threes. And it's just like this one thing that you do over and over and over again, but it's a constantly evolving puzzle. And it's like, well, if I move the whole game board this way, what happens? So
it reminds me a bit of that game, a similar idea. We were addicted to it. Letterpress.
yes.
Very well designed app. Very beautiful. It was a price, $1.99, and you unlocked everything and you enjoyed it, and it was a lot of fun. And
I
people
completely forgot about that game.
yeah, so that's good. I mean, I'm right there with you on iOS, and I'd even go a step further to say that I enjoy these titles more on iOS than on any other platform, and also these are the only types of titles that I kind of really get into on iOS. Like I mean, there's a new AAA title that comes out on iPad and iPhone every week that's like $10, Infinity Blade 3, get the experience of the console on your iOS tablet. And I'm like, that sounds great. I'm gonna buy it and play it and enjoy it, but it doesn't hook me,
Mm-hmm.
because I can experience that stuff on other systems in a better,
Mm-hmm.
better environment. So
The only thing that I want on my phone / iPad that normally I play elsewhere is Hearthstone, and that's only because the experience of Hearthstone is very, very, very similar to what I'm looking for out of a mobile game.
Sure.
Almost to the point that I would consider Hearthstone, especially after playing it on the iPad, I would consider like the Hearthstone PC release almost to be like the port from the iPad. Like it's a simple game, it's short. It's like it does take a lot to collect all the cards and to master the strategies and all the rest of it, as most of these mobile puzzle games do. And it really doesn't change from the experience on the iPad to the experience on the PC. So I mean, really and truly, you're not losing out anything by going to the mobile space versus a lot of these other things that say, get the experience of the console. It's like, well, they don't really mean that because they can't duplicate that on a mobile device. So,
so is Hearthstone outside of the 3 regions from last week? Just as an update, I didn't see
No.
anything about it. No, okay. So much
Still
for
just
that
us.
theory that it was going to be in the States. I was talking to Paul about it like a day after it announced for Canada. It's like, it'll be out in the States on the weekend. Don't worry about it. It's
They
like,
did,
okay.
they did say, because that's normally the way. Like, I mean, I know Plants
Yeah,
vs
usually.
Zombies too. We had for what 3 or 4 days before they released it everywhere. They
Yeah,
like
but it
we,
was months in New Zealand. Like they had
yeah.
it for months.
So, and I mean, we've talked about this before. I think it might have even just been last week where they often use Australia, Canada, and New Zealand as like a beta test market, soft launch, all the rest of it, whatever you want to call it.
Sure.
And generally, when Canada gets it, the US gets it within a couple of days. Blizzard has said that they're expecting the US release to be within the next couple of weeks, but there's definitely a delay between Canada and the US. So I think it's really going to explode when it hits the US, and I'm really excited for that.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's one of my favorite games, and I do an entire podcast about it. So the more like hype and the more people playing, the better. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. But the US release is going to be a couple weeks out still.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I hope it comes out soon, but yeah, you're right. Like, you're not only looking at people who don't have a PC that want to play it on PC, but you're also looking at everybody who's playing it on PC and now wants it on their iOS
Mm-hmm.
device. So it makes sense for Blizzard to hold it back. Um,
Also,
but
as Aslan in the chat room is saying that heaps of people in the U.S. are bypassing the restrictions. That is true.
yeah, Dills, I heard he's a Canadian citizen and he got called out by the devs on Twitter today.
Oh, did he? So
Yeah.
basically, like the Gamers Inn would like to say that we do not. We do not promote the breaking of both Blizzard and Apple's terms of services. We would like to say that if you do not live in Canada, you should probably not make fake accounts or use fake IP addresses or all the other workarounds. The Gamers Inn does not
Yeah.
endorse this kind of behavior. If you
Well,
all
we
want
would
to move to
understand if it did.
Canada,
It's
then
parts of
we'll
great.
take you. But
True, but I think you'd need like a Canadian credit card and all
yeah.
that fun stuff.
So, anyways, I do know that a lot of people in the States are bypassing the restrictions. I still think that it's a small group, the really hardcore, both techie and hardcore Hearthstone fans that are bypassing these restrictions. I think a lot of people in general are just waiting. And I think that Hearthstone will do very, very well once it's actually available officially in the US store, because then it's going to be, like one of the best selling, because even then it's a free app. You don't have to pay for the app, which was one of the questions that came into Angry Chicken. So the app for Hearthstone completely free. You still have the transactions that you have to go through in game if you want
Yeah.
to, get packs or whatever. But in general, it's the actual app itself is free. When you do transactions in app, it does try to go through the Apple Store, because I couldn't do transactions on the iPad because it's set up with Joel's Apple ID, not mine. So
Right. So you don't know his password to charge all
no,
those packs to his credit
which is
card.
unfortunate because I could have just been like early birthday present, early birthday present, early birthday present.
Yeah. Eventually it'll add up, right? Well, that's good. But threes highly recommended. I should buy it right after the show and
Yes,
not finish Wolf Among Us. I should just play threes.
absolutely, and everyone in the
Uh,
chat room should go and buy it right now as well because it is awesome. There's no ads, there's no annoyingness. It's just the game, which is great.
Good. Well, that's good. And
Have
don't play it on the bus.
No. Well, you can play it on the bus. Just make sure you don't have earphones in that are taking away all auditory cues.
And Asylum or Aslam in the chat room says that we should all order comfy toilet seats like he did for Hearthstone. I
I
think, you know what?
I
I've
don't
never been a fan
understand.
of those comfy toilet seats because they just make your butt sweat. It's disgusting.
I don't understand. I don't spend that much time in the bathroom. I could not get through a match of Hearthstone in the bathroom. Like, what is
Yeah,
wrong with
yeah.
you people that you need to be in the bathroom for like 15 minutes straight? Like, you should go get that checked.
I think maybe like older people, like Reader's Digest people.
Reader's Digest.
Like, I don't know. I don't know. Well, we're not going to talk about this.
It's
I
South
mentioned
Park
Skinny
all over
Butts.
again.
This is not South Park. We can't talk.
So, have you been playing anything in the mobile space this week?
Yeah. Well, I picked up a title on 3DS called Rusty's Real Deal Baseball. And it's funny you mention, and I agree with you, our sort of hatred for free to play and locking stuff behind a paywall. But the reason I tried this is because it's Nintendo's answer to free to play. Their second title that's going to be free. Um, and well, it's not really free to play because everything is locked behind a paywall. It's really free to try. It's a story based around a former baseball player that just happens to be a dog. And he owns this shop and he sells these like games that are basically mini games, and you have to buy them from him for real money. And when you
So
download on,
essentially, the game is locked behind a paywall.
well, yeah, it's like it's
So the
game.
game is not really free to play. It's free to download the vendor who then sells
Yes.
you the games.
That's why Nintendo is calling it free to try.
Oh,
Uh,
Nintendo.
it's again, it's weird, but it's kind of super interesting that they're trying this because it's essentially a game with a built-in demo. Because when you download it for free off the eShop, it comes with probably the best mini game, at least the best one I've played so far, which is they're all baseball related mini games. And the first mini game they give you is like uh, how do I put this? Like a home run derby. So like they'll keep pitching balls at you, and you just kind of have to like hit the A button to hit it out of the park and stuff. I
Okay.
mean, it sounds super simple, but it's actually really fun. And again, this is all
I
free.
shouldn't laugh. I was gonna say, like, it sounds super simple, but it's actually really fun, which is exactly like my description of threes. Because I was about to laugh, like, oh yeah, that's simple, but it's totally fun. And I was like, oh wait, hang on.
Again, everything I'm describing, this is all free to try. So there's like zero barrier to entry for everybody to try it. And it's on 3DS, and it's the one Nintendo. You guys should be happy. I'm talking about a Nintendo title that you'll actually be able to go out and buy. I mean, come on. Let's be honest here. So anyways, when he gives you the demo, and I guess he's a down on his luck kind of guy. His wife's left him or disappeared. He's got 8 kids to feed, and he's like, I really need these games to sell. Won't you help me, please, please, please? The story is super quirky and funny, and kind of like out of left field for Nintendo. Like usually they do like crazy, quirky, funny. This is like crazy, quirky, kind of like sad. Why are we talking about a dog whose wife disappeared or left, and he's like taking care of 8 kids all on his own. And it's like child support type stuff, and his shop is falling apart, and it's just really weird. And I guess once you finish with the demo, you go back to the shop, and he says, "How did you like the demo? Do you want to try it now?" And I'm like, "I don't know." You know, as you play the mini game, you unlock stamps that give you items and abilities to decrease the cost of the mini games. Because when you go into the shop, the mini games cost you $4 each. And he says like, all right, I'm willing to give you this for the low price of $4. And you're like, oh no. His son comes in and says, hey, if you give dad a donut, he'll be in the mood to haggle. Yeah, this is all in the game. You give him the donut and he says, oh man, I'm super happy now. And the screen goes like Japanese flashy orange, and he's like all happy and dancing around. And I'm like, great, let's haggle. And he says like, I really need to sell these games to make a profit because my kids are starving and my wife left me. I'm like, that ain't cutting it. I want it for lower. And he's like, oh, you're really busting my balls here. All right, I'll
Does
take
he
30.
actually say that? Because that doesn't seem very Nintendo-y.
No, he doesn't say that. He says like, oh, you know, you're really good at haggling, and you're really I just want to say bust my balls because it's just the easiest thing to think of. But he says like, you're being really hard on me. Fine, I'll give you a discount. And he says like 50 cents off, and the real money price goes down to 350. And eventually, he'll be like, oh, you know, I'm just having such a rough time, and my nose hairs are really long, and I really wish that I could smell again. And I'm like, oh, well, it's a good thing I found these nose hair trimmers while I was playing your baseball mini game. So you give him nose hair trimmers, cuts his nose hair, and he says, great, I'm gonna give you like $3 off, and we'll call it a day. So he knocks the game down to like $1.50. You buy it, and then that progresses the story of the game.
Uh.
So it's really weird. And again, to me, like as I was playing through it and you know, buying games and progressing in the story, I started to feel like I'm gonna get to a point where I have to buy a shitty mini game that I'm not gonna like. Because you know when you buy a mini game collection, there's the ones you really love, like bumper balls in Mario Party.
Mm-hmm.
there's the ones you really hate that you never want to play, and whenever they come up during like random play, you're like, oh, let's just
Yeah.
skip this. So that's what I'm worried about, and I haven't really progressed further in the title past like the two games that actually looked really good. That I'm not going to be able to see the rest of this weird, stupid story because the story, the progression is locked behind buying these games. Now, I did hear that the further you get into the game, the less price the games are, but I don't know.
That
It's really
seems
weird.
kind of odd unless they put the absolute best game right at the very beginning. Like
Well,
why would
they
the
did.
why would the better or like maybe not better games, but the games further along in the progression of the main game, like why would they be of less value? That doesn't make any sense to me. That
Well,
worries me.
I think the way they do it is that the first game you buy, which is the first game you buy is kind of like the home run derby I was describing, the one you get to try for free. So if you like it, then it's like, well, of course I'll buy it and I'll unlock it and I'll go from there. That is probably the most expensive game you'll buy. Like after that, it keeps going lower. So it starts at like $1.90, and then I bought my third game for like $1.50. So I
Hmm.
assume as I continue to buy the rest of the 10 mini games, I could get down to like 40 cents for a mini game.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know, and that's why I stopped playing because I played like the day it came out a couple weeks ago. I was like, I better not rush through this because I'll hit a wall where I'm like, I don't like this, and I'm spending real money on stuff I know nothing about.
Yeah. So
Wanted
you
to
can't.
wait.
It's not free to try each mini game. It's just the very first one.
They give you, as you progress, they give you another demo of another game. So, like I said, it's baseball themed, and there are like four separate sub games. So there's like batting, catching, which is actually really fun, where you have a glove and the balls come at your face. Bear with me here, folks. And you have to like move your glove up with the control stick, and it's all reflex based. So like the ball will go straight up, and you have to catch it, and it gets just faster and faster.
Hmm.
And there's other ones like pitching where you have to like tilt the 3DS up. And I know that sounds dumb, but it's or not dumb, but uh,
It's very close to motion control, which
yeah.
generally I am morally against.
But it's really intuitive in the sense that it's just you follow on screen and you just move it up a little bit to like adjust, which is the best sort of like gyroscope type stuff on the Nintendo stuff or systems. Use stuff too many times, and
Yeah.
then you just hey, it throws. And there's some other ones for like umping and stuff, but based on the reviews, it's like some of the mini games, like the umping one, they give you a demo. It's not that great, but there's like a bat making mini game that I haven't unlocked yet, where you build a bat, like you whittle it, and what is it when you put it in the thing and it spins and you
The
just kind of
lathe?
stick. Yeah, and then you get to test it, and based on how well you made the bat, the better it'll perform when you go to hit the ball out of the park, right? So it's interesting. And all the mini games are split up into, so each mini game you unlock has five separate challenge modes. So one is like just straight up hitting it, and then the other one's like trick pitches to like fool you into like missing it or stuff. It's really weird, and if you're a fan of like the WarioWare type stuff, like I suggest you just go pick it up on 3DS. It's free to try. Um, and the story's really weird. It's very like Japanese moved over to America because this is not a story that like
Kind of
America.
like a maybe not even lost in translation, but just really highlights
Mhm.
cultural differences, maybe, or like how a story in the state, you just like you can listen to the story in the game and be like, yeah, that would never come out of the States.
Yeah, it's not even that Japanese. It's really weird. Like it's not something you'd expect to see from Nintendo.
Hmm.
It's and it might not. I wouldn't be surprised if it was made like by people outside of Nintendo and was like, oh, that's really cool, and they picked it up, kind of
Hmm.
thing. So, but like I said, free
So
to
that's,
try.
yeah, Rusty's Real Deal Baseball for the
Yeah.
3DS. And this is, I'm guessing, in the Nintendo shop?
Yeah, it'd be in the Nintendo shop. And at the very least, like the first mini game they give you is worth picking up if you really enjoyed it,
I
because
feel
that's the best one.
Yeah, I feel so bad. I haven't actually played on my 3DS since we did the episode with John about Zelda. I
Well,
literally haven't picked it up since then.
this would be a good chance to try out like try out the smaller titles on the eShop. I mean, they have another one out there for that's free to try that I never really got into, like Steel Diver, and
Hmm.
I guess it's like a, player on player like sub match game.
Okay.
You like first person play as a sub, and you like have to kill other subs.
Okay.
Again, totally out of left field for Nintendo. I never thought they'd build like a sub sim, but
That's
I guess they
probably
did.
why all of these things are kind of in the cheap or free to play kind of realm, is just because like Nintendo's testing the waters in a lot of ways, it seems. But it's interesting. Maybe I'll give it a shot. Maybe. I kind of don't like baseball, so
I don't like I hate baseball video games, so I was surprised when I actually started to enjoy these little games
these little
because
mini games.
it's it's the best part of what's the best part about baseball? Like hitting the
The
ball,
beer.
fuck running. Like nobody wants to run. Hitting the ball, well, beer. It's a Nintendo game. There's no beverages to speak of.
Aw.
So hitting the ball, catching the ball, throwing the ball, but not at other people or at moving targets. Like okay, sometimes there's moving targets, but like it's just the best parts of the baseball game, like boiled down into its simplest form and
Hmm.
then made crazy by different challenges.
Hmm. Very cool.
Hmm.
So last weekend, I had a crazy intense gaming weekend. It was supposed to be crazy intense for other reasons, but
Oh,
on Friday night, or sorry, Saturday night, Saturday night has become my raid night in WoW. So I am trying to learn how to heal on my level 90 priest, and she's got all the gear that you get when you boost someone to 90, which is all 486 gear. So we're doing flex, and so flex doesn't really matter because there's just, like it's flexible. So there's no gear requirements or anything else. So we're doing the first wing of Siege of Ogrimmar, which we finished.
mhm.
Which was actually really, really cool because we're all made up of people who have new 90s. So either people with new 90s or are completely new to raiding or are new to a certain spec. So we have a lot of people who normally heal that are practicing tanking, or who normally tank and are doing DPS, or, like me, I'm normally DPS, but now I'm healing. So it's a really, really cool raid group. Everyone's really supportive, and we beat Siege of Ogrimmar the first wing, so that was cool. The Shaw of Pride, we took him down first try. Well, not first try, we tried 2 or 3 times, but first night, I mean, like we didn't have to go back the next week and try him again. So
Good.
I'm very excited. It went really well. I was third in healing, but I was absolutely destroyed by the people who were first and second. And I really think it has to do with gear. Like, they were all like 530, 540, and me being down at 486, it was a huge difference. I did like 10% of the healing, and they each did like 25%. So it was like 50% of our raid healing was done by these 2 people, and then there was me next at 10. So, but anyways, it's okay because
It's okay. I survived.
I was mostly like, I did way better than my first week. I
Oh, good.
switched to AoE healing, which did a lot better too. So, I'm rocking it. I'm doing really good. I'm really, really proud. So that was fine. I spent all day Saturday playing in WoW because I was, setting up add-ons and learning my different spells and like really trying to get everything all set up and be ready for raid night. So I set aside Sunday to play
Uh-huh.
ESO. So
Good.
I logged into ESO, fine. First thing in the morning, it was probably about 10 or 11 o'clock for me. So then I played for about an hour, and then I can't even remember what it was, but I had to get up. I think I went to go like make coffee or something. So
Mhm.
I literally came back to log in, and it kept telling me my password was wrong. And I was like, well, that's really weird. So I was like, okay, go to, like account management. So it pops up the website. I log in. Everything's fine. So I'm like, okay, that's weird. Maybe, like I have a randomly generated password. Maybe I typed it wrong, copied it wrong, whatever. So just for shits and giggles, I changed my password to something like really, really easy and like just one word. And I'm like, okay, so my password's changed. Log out of the website, log back into the website. Everything works. Okay, cool. Go to log into the ESO client. Your password's wrong. I was like, what? So
Hmm.
I logged a ticket with support. It took them 24 hours to get back to me. They said, did you try turning it off and on again?
They did not. We'll
They
turn
did.
one
I
off and on
still
again.
the client, they told me to try completely closing down the client and opening it up again. So
Try turning it off and on again.
in in
My
that
best.
period of
Yeah.
24 hours, Twitter and the depths of forums, which I'm not a huge fan of internet forums, they tend to, not so much the ones that are tied to like the AMove forums are awesome. You know, there's a lot of really supportive, really awesome people in the AMove forums, and really any forums built around like Frog Pants, AIE, like just the podcasting community, generally okay. But the internet forums at large scare the pants off me. They are generally scary and mean. So that's fine. I dove into the forums to try to find out what my problem was. So, Ryan, would you like to take a stab at what my problem was?
You you paid too much money for this game. I don't know what happened.
So, the problem was because basically I kept getting these notifications every time I would reopen the client that was saying, please give us your credit card information. Like, go to the website and put in your credit card information because you don't get charged for your first 30 days. But they want to make sure that you have a credit card. So when your 30 days are up, it's just an automatic charge, you know, same as WoW. WoW's set up the same way. So my subscription fee will be automatically charged after the first 30 days.
Is WoW set up that way? Because I
My
don't
WoW
think.
is.
Well, yeah, of course your WoW is, but when you get 30 days of play, I don't think it should be required to have your credit card on their system. Like I'm
I
fine with it freezing your account automatically after 30
Yeah,
days.
I don't think that it should be either, but that it's what I mean by that is that it's general practice within the MMO community that when they give you a free 30 days, they want your credit card information to charge you on that 31st day. So I get it. I mean, it's standard practice, so whatever. Whether I agree with the standard practice or not, I was not surprised when that was the thing. So I was literally like, I made Joel come in here because I clicked on every single clickable link on
Hmm.
the ESO account management website. Joel came in and watched me click everything. And edit your account information only let me change my first and last name. There is no other account information. And I was literally like, I have my credit card. I want to pay them. What's the problem? The problem is that they launched on a Friday. They gave 5 days of early access to people who purchased anything, like any pre-order, got 5 days of easy access. Early access.
Wasn't easy.
Wasn't easy. So this was the thing I think I talked about it a couple weeks ago where I got an email from Future Shop with a code. And the code was like, here's your early access to ESO. Enjoy, go play. So I registered that code. That code
Um,
apparently didn't tell ESO that I'd actually purchased the game. So when my 5 days of early access were up, which happened on the 4th, which was Friday, they gave a grace period of up to, I think, 8 a.m. Pacific time on Sunday. Not even one business day after launch. So because I paid them tons of extra money and got the physical version of the collector's edition, my collector's edition didn't come till Monday, so they locked me out all day on Sunday. There was no documentation on the website. There was no documentation on the client. There was no help, like any support articles. Like all it said was the grace period goes until such and such a time, which I only found by searching the ESO forums for grace period. And then it just said the grace period goes until 8 a.m. Pacific, and after that, you're basically shit out of luck. And I was just like, oh my god!
that's really shady. I have some other peeps playing this game, and now I'm just upset that I said peeps. But it's Easter, so we'll let it slide.
Yeah, it's fine.
They are playing, and they were saying that they got booted out and they weren't able to log in, and I guess they had made the connection that they have to have their credit card information in there, and I just said, man, that sounds pretty shady. And I mean, in an industry where you have to have the gamers on your side to do like, come on, guys, like wait the 30 days for the credit card information. I know
Well,
what they're
it's
trying
not
to
even
do.
like this isn't what pissed me off. Like the credit card
No, I know,
information
yeah.
didn't piss me off. What pissed me off is that the only group that they're alienating by doing this, by giving a grace period that is less than one business day long, they're
Right.
only alienating the people that paid them the most money. The ones that bought the Imperial Edition in the physical form to get the statue, that pre-ordered. Like these people are the ones who are your biggest fans, the ones that have been the biggest proponents of the game. Like I have been defending ESO for literally months, and all I wanted to do was play on Sunday. I literally set the entire day aside and I was like, you know what? I just want to play ESO. I was having a ton of fun when I was in it. There was a little glitch in the main quest line and I didn't even care because I was just like, okay, I'm going to go do something else. And then I went and saved a town from vampires. So I was still really enjoying it until all of a sudden I had to spend my entire afternoon trying to figure out why my password wasn't working because support was try turning it off and back on again. Like, no, support, you know what the problem is. The problem is that I haven't entered an actual game code. I've entered an early access code, and now the early access code period is finished. Come on! You know what the problem is.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Yeah.
So angry.
That
So
I
angry.
could see that, and I would have been pissed.
I was
Like,
ragey.
I would have
really
done that
ragey.
too. I have a real problem when it comes to things that should work but don't.
The thing is, like, I paid so much money. I really wanted to play. It should have been easy to find that information. Like, the message that popped up with the client was, just go to account management and follow the prompts. I literally, like, I surfed around that website for an hour and I was like, there's no prompts. I don't understand. Where are the prompts? I was like, I have a credit card, like, holding it up to my camera, being like, take it.
You're just like a boiling pot of water. Like, eventually, 2 hours into forums, you're just like, yeah, that sucks. But you're good now, right? Everything's fine. Everything's dandy.
Well, I haven't. See, this is the thing. Now that I know that I'm locked out either way right now, yes, my physical edition is here. I have my game codes. I haven't entered them because I knew I wasn't going to be able to play from Monday to Friday. So I'm like, why waste my 30 days? So I haven't tried it yet. So I don't know if I'm actually going to have access or not. I don't know if it's going to work. I assume it's going to, but I haven't actually tried it yet because I knew I would just waste 5 days of my playtime. So
that's smart. So
every once in a while, I have shining moments of just complete genius.
I mean, yeah, like it makes sense. Like nobody's gonna have, like I know I wouldn't have time Monday to Friday to devote to an MMO that I'm really excited about.
I do too much podcasting. That's all.
Well, yeah, that's probably it. That's what they tell us. Follow-up question. You had planned 2 full days for gaming.
Yep.
How did you avoid boyfriend aggro? Because we should gotta figure this out.
He has to work.
Ashley needs. I need to.
You need to get her a second job.
A second job, perfect. Because that sounds fair.
Yep. So,
hey, honey,
and I just tell him
job?
ahead of time. I'm like, all right, so ESO just launched. So, by the way, I'm going to be doing that on Sunday.
Yeah, and I'm joking. Like, I mean, I'm allowed to play video games. I'm not
sure you are.
Sure. When there's stuff to do around the house, like I man up and I'm like, okay, I guess Seattle will have to save itself some other time. Just go do this other stuff.
Seattle.
No,
so what's Seattle?
Seattle. Oh well, that's obviously the best PS4 game to ever come out ever.
It's just called Seattle.
No, it's called Infamous Second Son.
So how is that one?
It's amazing. Infamous. Are you familiar with the series at all?
Vaguely. I've never actually played it because again, it's a PS title, a PlayStation title. So, where it's only on those consoles, and I don't have one. I've seen it, but I've never played it.
Infamous is like you and Joel really love the Batman series, and I know Joel would really dig the Infamous series because it's very comic book influenced. Some of the cutscenes in it are straight up like motion art that you would find in a really cool like motion art comic.
Nice.
So yeah, it's really neat. It's this one takes place 7 years after the first two. New hero, new setting.
Is that fairly close to what the actual release dates were like? Like, has it been 7 years since the last Infamous title?
No, it's only actually been a couple years. I think the last one came out 2 or 3 years ago in the summer. So, yeah, it's not quite like in line, but I think they used that 7-year gap to their advantage to set up like a new world that's sort of influenced by the actions of the conclusion to the second game. The game is actually based on a morality system, so it's interesting in the sense that you can be a good hero or you can be a bad hero.
I like those games.
Yeah, now it's more in line with like the Star Wars theory of good and evil, like rather than like the Fable side, whereas either way, you get cool ass powers, and they're very similar. Like force, like it's like force lightning, except if you're good, it's blue, or if you're bad, it's red, kind of thing.
That's kind of
Um,
cool. And I mean, I really liked what they did
mhm,
in Mass Effect in the last one, Mass Effect 3, where yes, you got Paragon points and yes, you got Renegade points, but all together that was your reputation, and the higher your reputation got, the more powerful you got. So it wasn't so
yeah,
much like in a lot of games it's like, well, I have 5 points of evil and 15 points of good, so I have like the level 15 good power. It's like, but no, if you combine those, like you still progressed as if like
mm,
that kind of mirrored how far you'd gotten in the game in Mass Effect 3. So that was something that I really enjoyed, that it was more of a combined thing as opposed to two separate things. So is it closer to like a Mass Effect 3 look or a Mass Effect 2 look, and if, or
it
like a Fable
yeah,
system?
it's a slider. So like you sort of pick one way because that influences the powers you're allowed to unlock. So you can do good actions, which basically makes you like a hero to the people and everybody, and you do only bad onto those that do, bad onto others, whatever that thing is. And then if you want to go evil, you're a dick to everybody, and you're like, I'm a superhero and I got powers, and all you other folks are normies, and I'm gonna kill you all, kind of thing. You still progress through the story in a similar, like you're still doing the same stuff. You get very different cutscenes because your character acts differently. So they've
Mm-hmm.
basically mocapped and did the VO for each cutscene twice. So
Cool.
one is like your brother is a main character in this game, and it's kind of you and your older brother kind of going to Seattle to save your tribe back home.
Mm-hmm.
You're actually, which I thought was really interesting. I mean, you're not just another white guy. You're actually, I can't remember the tribe name,
This is a
but
test.
yeah, I'm not gonna do it because I'll butcher it. But you're Native American, and you're in your tribe's land, and I guess what happens is these conduits, which are these people with powers, escape and sort of infiltrate your tribe, and they start running around. And these conduits are bad people, and they actually call them bioterrorists.
Oh,
And the
cool.
police come to grab them because they've escaped. And in the confusion, you kind of grab one of the bioterrorists to like say, hey, we need to get out of here. You need to leave because you're disrupting this place, and you end up stealing his powers.
Ooh,
So you're
fancy.
a conduit too, but you didn't know it because you didn't have any powers because you never touched a conduit. I mean, it's very bad to touch conduits,
Ah, apparently.
I guess. But you start off with smoke powers, and then as you progress, the whole storyline is you have to get um, to Seattle to get the main chick, I guess, who I'm jumping around here, but I guess at the end of it
And
all,
don't
like,
spoil it too much. Like,
I'm
don't say
not,
the end of it all. Like,
no, no,
in
no,
the
the
end
end
of
of
the
the
all, you save the
beginning,
world and everything's awesome.
basically at the end, everybody's happy and it's all, no, basically what happens is the police show up, like the government police about, thanks, clown baby. He touches his conduit all the time, he says. Yeah, well, that's good. Um, the police show up as this government organization called the DUP, and they're run by this basically a dictator, but she has like concrete powers, so she can like manipulate concrete and have it like appear out of nowhere to like encase people. Like that's how she like catches conduits. She just encompasses them, like sort of like Han Solo in Carbonite.
That is what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Sounds like
So
Star Wars.
yeah, so what she does is to get information out of the main character and the tribe, is she basically causes concrete to come out of their bones, which is very disturbing and hurts all of them. Basically, takes the whole tribe down. And your task basically is to go to Seattle, get her power, and then go back home and save your entire tribe, who are dying slowly from this concrete protruding from their bones. It's very
Aw.
disturbing. Yeah. So it's got like that nice touch, and it goes from there. But what I wanted to talk about was I finished it. It was amazing. If you have a PS4, you probably should go get this because what else are you playing? But at the end of it, they have this cool little mini game called Paper Trail, and you connect your PlayStation account to a website, which is infamous papertrail.com, and you get to do these cool little mini games on the website, like investigation type mini games. So in the game, you'll go to like a crime scene, and someone died. You take pictures of, like, say, the body and some evidence, and then you like steal evidence that the police left there for some reason, and it all uploads to your account. So you put the controller down, you pause it, you go to your computer, and you go to the website, and you're like, you see all these photos, and then there's like these weird, like, puzzles. And like wrote down notes, so there was like notes and stuff,
Oh
and
my
there was like
god.
origami. And at first I was like, this is kind of lame, but then I started to realize that I was having a lot of fun just solving all these issues, and you're like entering stuff into websites, like you're actually like solving crimes and looking stuff up on databases and like security cam footage. And then when you solve that part, it tells the game, okay, it's time to load the next section. And it's like a progression there. It's really neat. I wish more games did this. Like they, like made a more compelling second screen sort of experience,
Hmm.
as opposed to just like, hey, you could look at the map. So it's nice. It's really interesting.
Very cool. So, I think that pretty much does it for us tonight. We're running a little bit long, so again, we're gonna miss Amazon, and we have some really cool stuff to talk about Smash Brothers, but I think we're gonna have to bump it to next week. So, I just wanted to say quickly that Ryan and I really appreciate your continued support of our show, along with the support of our sponsor, Doghouse Systems. You can use the code TheGamersIn to double your RAM when you purchase a new gaming rig. So head on over to doghousesystems.com and get your order on. And we also wanted to take a moment to thank our patrons. So if you would like to become a patron of The Gamers Inn, you can do so at patreon.com/thegamersin. Every dollar that we get goes toward making the show better. So our first goal is $50 a month, which is going to go towards making Gamers Inn Game Night a more regular thing. That is where Ryan and I, we play every Thursday night. We live stream whatever game patrons vote on, and if you are a patron at the $5 level or higher, then you get preferred invites to come and game with us. So head on over to Patreon, throw us a couple of bucks if you've got it. We would really appreciate it. As always, The Gamers Inn will be free, but every dollar does help us make the show better. So this week, we would like to thank Eric Booth for being a patron of The Gamers Inn. We really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Ryan, do you have anything you'd like to say?
Just the game night, we had a blast.
We
last
did.
night. We played with Josh, a new patron. We put out a activity post. I don't know if this is how we'll do it every time, but this is how we're gonna do it for now. We did put out an activity post on our Patreon page, which is only seen by patrons, and asked them to say, "Hey, what game should we play tonight?" And because we've been playing a lot, excuse me, I'm choking up here. It was just so awesome last night. We played Diablo, and
Again, for the third week in a row? Fourth week in a row?
yeah, and we were like, we should play something different, and they suggested we play Diablo,
Yeah,
so
so
we did, and then we had a blast, and we want to play a lot more games with a lot more people. So
yeah.
come on, let's do it.
Let's do it. So I think that pretty much does it for this week. If you'd like to visit us on the web, you can do so at gamersinpodcast.com. You can also find us on AMove TV, along with other fabulous podcasts, including Campaign Roundtable, Biggest Fan, AMove Radio, The Angry Chicken, and the brand new podcast, Into the Nexus. If you'd like to follow us on Twitter, you can do so. You can find me at GIS Gamer, Ryan is at R Murphy, and don't forget to follow the show at The Gamers Inn. The video versions of all our episodes can be found on youtube.com/Jocelyn Moffat. We're also on Facebook and Google+. If you'd like to email the show and tell us about your awesome experiences in ESO or any of the other games that we talked about tonight, you can do so at info@gamersinpodcast.com. Before we go, I just want to give a quick shout out and thank you to Greg Moffat for creating our music. You can find him on Twitter at SoundsInfluence. We would also like to thank Joel Duggan, who does all of our graphic work. You can find him and everything he does at joelduggan.com. So thanks for staying at The Gamers Inn, and remember, tune in next week. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Go play baseball.